Hello, welcome to Making Photos. I'm Ian in Butterfield. And in this, my latest Affinity Photo tutorial, we are going to look at 25 shortcuts which will improve your productivity with Affinity Photo. You've seen me in some of the previous videos using shortcuts, and I typically put them up on the screen as I do them. But I thought it would be a good opportunity to go through some of the essential ones. Now, I don't expect you to learn all 25 shortcuts that I'm going to go through now. Just pick up one or two, and then in a few weeks' time, once you've used those and you've learnt those, come back to this video and have a look at some more and learn those. Oh, and do stick with the video right to the end, because I've got a couple of bonus shortcuts just to finish off with. So let's get started. Let's go over to Affinity and let's talk through some of the shortcuts. The first set of shortcuts we're going to look at are all about selecting different tools within Affinity. I've got a sample document here with various layers and items on there. By default, when you come into a document, you will be in the Move tool, or the Hand tool as I prefer to call it. And if you're not on there and you've got some other tool selected and want to get to it, the shortcut key is H. What does the Hand tool do? It allows you to move around where the image is on the canvas, so you can position it where you want. The next tool down, the Select tool, or the Move tool, the arrow, which allows you to deal with different layers and components. The key to get to that is V, and that means I can just move an individual element around. And if I hit V again, it will actually toggle between the Hand and the Move tool. The next shortcut that you might want to know is C, and C is the Crop tool. So I can just bring the edges in. I've got a whole tutorial about cropping, the link for which is up there. If you want to use the Brush tool, that is B, and that will bring up till now. The thing with the brush tool and those which have got little arrows down the side is if you keep hitting that shortcut key, it will toggle through the various ones there. So we've got brush and color change and the pixel tool. I can then select a pixel layer, and with my brush tool I can draw on there. Control Z, which is the undo tool. And if I want to put text on the screen, as I have here with Shortcuts Tutorial and my name, the shortcut key for that is T. There are two forms of text. I'll do a whole tutorial on the text tool at some point, but you've got Frame tool or Artistic Text tool, and if I hit T again, I get the other text one, which I just click and type Hello World, and escape to finish typing. Now let's move on to some general shortcuts, one of which we've already talked about, and that is Control Z as undo. We've got Control A, which selects everything, and if you want to unselect something, it's Control D. One more interesting one is to do with masking. I can create a mask on my current layer. I can go with my paintbrush and paint onto the mask. I can invert that mask with Control I. Our next set of shortcuts are all to do with layers. The first one, Control Shift and N, will create a new pixel layer. Control J will duplicate a layer. If you want to select multiple layers, then Control and click on them will pull them together. Click on any one without holding Control down will deselect the other layers and just take you to the one that you've got. I'm going to select just two layers with Control click, and then I want to group them together. I can do Control and G. That brings them together as a group, which enables me to toggle them on and off together. If I want to merge layers together into a single layer, I can do that by control clicking on all the layers I want to merge together. The shortcut is Control, Shift and E, and that brings everything down to a pixel layer. If for any reason I want to change the order of my layers, so for example, let's just suppose my logo is over the top of the wording and I want it the other way around. If that's my selected item, I can bring it up and down using the control and square brackets. My next group of shortcuts are all to do with view. First of all, control and mouse wheel allows you to zoom in, and you can see it centers around where you've got your mouse located. That, if you want to get it back to filling the screen, that's Control 0. If you want to view the image at 100%, that's Control 1. 200% is Control 2. 400% Control 3, and 800% is Control 4. And you can start to see the individual pixels on there. Once you've got to, let's say 100%, you want to move it around, hold the space bar down, that changes the cursor temporarily to the hand, and you can then just drag the whole screen around to get to the right part of the screen that you're interested in. If you are using a graphics tablet, sometimes the angles to draw at, it's easier if you actually can rotate the whole canvas or the workspace on there, and that's easily done with Alt and mouse wheel. So you can move that around and it rotates around where the mouse pointer is. My final 4 shortcuts are all to do with the brush tool. So as we know, B is for the brush tool. I want a new layer to work on with the brush. That's Control, Shift and N. And now with the brush tool, a couple of things. To change the size of the brush, and you've probably seen me do this in other tutorials, that's the square brackets, make it larger or smaller. But there's another way of changing that, and that's Control, Alt and the mouse. If you move the mouse left and right, it gets smaller or larger. Move the mouse up and down, it gets softer and harder. To pick a color from the image for the brush, it's a bit of a weird one, but it's hold the Alt key down, click the mouse, then move the mouse slightly, and we then get a target. So if I want a green on there, I've now got that in the middle of there. I can then release, and you see we've got that as a color, and I can draw with that. Alt and move again, find a darker color, and I can then paint that. Alt, click, move, and darker again. So that's how we change the color, by picking a color from an image. So that's my 25 essential shortcuts for Affinity Photo. Now I've got just a handful of bonus ones that you might want to know about. The first one is to do with labels up here, and it's another way of changing values such as the width or opacity or flow. That can be done by it's basically clicking on the title, the label, and then dragging. Left or right will change the value on there. If I hold down the Shift key when I do it, it moves in steps of 10 on that. And this happens with any label that you like. So without the Shift, it's a much slower move. With the Shift, it's in values of 10, so I can quickly go from 0 to 100% hardness. So my next shortcut as a bonus is Alt and drag. I'm going to need to be in the Select tool or V tool, select my logo, hold the Alt key down and drag. I create a duplicate. Again, Alt, drag. I can continue to make as many duplicates as I want, each becoming a separate layer. And so my final bonus tip is about maximizing your workspace. Sometimes the screen can look a little bit cluttered, can't it, with all that's going on in there. Easiest way to deal with that is hit the tab key. It cleans everything, moves everything out of the way. Control 0 will then maximize your document to fill the available space. But how do you get to your tools? Well, that's what the shortcut keys are for. So can you remember? B for brush, and I can then just carry on drawing. If I can't remember and I need to access something off the menus, it's as straightforward as just hitting the tab key, selecting the tool I want, and I can hit the tab key again and carry on working in the reduced view. So that's my little tutorial on shortcuts in Affinity. Hope you found it helpful. When it's published, my next Affinity tutorial will be on the screen here, and along with that is the playlist of all the previous ones. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Keep making great photos. Bye for now.